Okay, so with training camp just under 2 weeks away, Eagles rookie cornerback Quinyon Mitchell is getting ready to possibly compete for a starting job in his first season, and the NFL better watch out, with the recent report revealing why Mitchell could be a scary sight to see for opposing offenses. Meanwhile, other Eagles rookie cornerback Cooper DeJean was given some recent praise along with Mitchell, but why are some saying that DeJean could actually disappoint in his first year with the Birds? And also, a few other new Eagles were named as guys that could disappoint as well, so is there any truth to this? Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley has been putting in work ahead of training camp, while these insane Jalen Hurts stats should make fans optimistic that he's going to come out and have an amazing season this year. So we're going to talk about all that and more in this video today, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so let's start this video off by taking a look at the Eagles offense, and specifically its stacked cast of weapons at the skill positions. As if you're an NFL fan, you know that the Eagles have one of the most talented offensive units in the entire league, so it should be no surprise that the Eagles wide receiver, tight end, and running back group was ranked second in the NFL in a recent ESPN article by Bill Barnwell, with the article stating that the Eagles already had one of the most talented offenses in the league, with a star quarterback like Jalen Hurts being surrounded by some great weapons like A.J. Brown, who's coming off back-to-back near 1,500-yard seasons, Devontae Smith, who would be a wide receiver one on most NFL teams, and Dallas Goedert, who's one of the best tight ends in the game. And then they went out and added one of the best backs in the game in Saquon Barkley to the mix, who, despite being in a terrible situation in New York last year and having one of the lowest expected yards per carry in the entire NFL, still had a solid season numbers-wise and was the best part of that Giants offense. So now that he's added to this mix of weapons, it's only going to benefit everyone and make the offense and Jalen Hurts better, with Barnwell finishing off the passage saying, quote, "I'm not sure how many snaps Hurts will get with Barkley, Brown, Goedert, and Smith all on the field together, but my prediction is he'll be the best quarterback in football on those plays." So I definitely love the sound of that, and at this point, I think it's the general consensus that if he stays healthy, Saquon is going to take this Eagles offense to the next level, and it's honestly just truly crazy that he's even on the team, considering he's one of the best backs in the game, and he's been on one of the Birds' biggest rivals for the past 6 years. And Eagles All-Pro right tackle Lane Johnson can't believe it either, as he was recently on Colin Cowherd's show where he talked about Saquon and said that he's still pretty much just amazed that Barkley's even on the team.
Just amazed that he's even on our team. I think when you look at him, yeah, I mean, honestly, when you look at him, he's a generational talent. He's a guy that's 230 pounds, 235, can flex out wide, play receiver, so just very dynamic. But for me, guys like that can make you look a lot better than maybe than what you are. I feel like we'll find our rhythm in camp. We've already learned a little during OTAs, kind of his running style. But those guys like that, they don't need much. So I'm excited to get him started this year. And yeah, man, he's just one of those guys that really wows you, from the first moment that you see him. So. Yeah, I know he's definitely ready for a big year.
So this is just one of many instances of Lane praising Saquon in recent weeks, so that's definitely nice. And I also liked how Lane gave us a little bit of perspective there as well. I mean, let's not forget that so far during spring practices, the guys have not had pads on, which really limits what the running backs can actually do and the impact they can have. Yet, Barkley has still managed to impress his teammates like Lane with his physical stature, work ethic, and leadership. And once we do get to training camp, like Lane said, that's when they're really going to get their rhythm down in terms of Saquon actually running behind that offensive line, and I really just cannot wait until the guys actually get their pads on and we can see Saquon in full action. But for right now, we still gotta wait on that, but that doesn't mean that we're still not getting exciting things from Saquon, as for example, these pictures just recently came out with Barkley posting them on social media of himself during Eagles Hype Day, and these pictures are just so cool. I mean, I don't really have much else to say besides that. He looks awesome. He looks great in green, which again, it's just absolutely insane that Saquon Barkley is a Philadelphia Eagle. And it seems like he's motivated as ever to have a fantastic year as he enters his first season in Philly, with these videos coming out of Saquon working extremely hard this offseason to prepare for the upcoming year, and he's looking pretty good as he's running through these drills and doing different things. And even though you can't really read too much into something like this at all, it's still just awesome to see Saquon is motivated and working hard right now. And same goes for Lane Johnson, as we recently just saw a video of the All-Pro right tackle doing some heavy deadlifts and looking absolutely jacked, so that's definitely awesome to see as the Philly legend is entering year 12. Then you got the new pass rusher Bryce Huff, who also looks like he's working extremely hard during summer break, with videos coming out of him doing some drills and going hard during offseason training as well, so that's definitely nice to see, as it looks like Huff is focused as he's preparing to take on the biggest role he's ever had in his first season in Philly. And then you got Jalen Hurts, as we got this photo of him working out during summer break while also watching some film of Randall Cunningham at the same time, which is pretty freaking cool if you ask me. And I just think it goes to show you how locked in Jalen Hurts really is right now, as with the critics as loud as they've ever been, it seems like Jalen is dead set on having a bounce back back-to-back season and shutting those doubters up. Speaking of which, these insane Jalen Hurts stats ought to at least do that to some extent, because with everybody questioning the fifth-year quarterback's ability all of a sudden this offseason, it's good to remember what Jalen has actually done since getting drafted and becoming the Eagles starter, with Jeffrey Knox of Inside the Eagles writing an article titled "Here are a handful of Jalen Hurts stats that we aren't discussing often enough," in which he ran through a number of impressive things that Hurts has done, including the fact that Hurts is first in wins by any quarterback over the past 2 seasons, which I'd say is pretty important with the 25-7 record as a starter. Then it goes on to mention how Jalen Hurts' passing yard and passing touchdown totals have gone up every single year that he's been in the league. Also, how Jalen Hurts already has the franchise record for a quarterback for rushing touchdowns, and he's only going to continue to extend it. And also how he's the first quarterback in NFL history with at least 10 rushing touchdowns 3 seasons in a row, and how Hurts also has the second most touchdowns in the NFL over the past 2 years with 73, which is one more than Patrick Mahomes. So I think all those stats should just remind us just how good and impressive Jalen Hurts has been since taking over the Eagles starting job. And let's not forget that last season, Hurts was dealing with a terrible offensive scheme and play calling that didn't exactly put him in an optimal position for success, yet he was still able to put up pretty good numbers. And now this year with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator and in turn an increased creativity on offense and in the passing game, Hurts should only benefit and his numbers should only get better, and the Eagles should continue to win football games and really make a run at it this year. And speaking of making a run this year, a recent article just came out detailing why the Eagles rookie class this year really helps to put them back into Super Bowl contention, as Dalton Wasserman of PFF included the Eagles on a list of teams that improved the most during the draft this year, and in the article, he praised many of the Eagles draft picks and specifically hyped up the 2 headliners in the class a good amount, first praising Quinyon Mitchell, saying, quote, "First up was Toledo's Quinyon Mitchell, an outside cornerback with incredible physical talent who ranked 9th overall on PFF's big board. Mitchell's production over the past 2 seasons is unmatched among FBS cornerbacks," and then it went on to show that Mitchell was first in coverage grade and forced incompletions last year, and 15th in interceptions with 6 and 16th in yards allowed per coverage snap, before finishing off saying, quote, "Mitchell's ball production vaulted him into elite status among FBS cornerbacks. Perhaps more frightening for opposing offenses is that he actually dropped 8 interceptions over the past 2 seasons, twice as many as any other cornerback in the nation. Mitchell has all the ability to be one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL." And that last part should be a scary thing for the NFL to hear, as when you turn on the tape, there's no doubt that Mitchell jumps out at you with crazy ball skills and an elite athletic ability, and that stat of having 8 dropped interceptions over the past 2 years is crazy, because he already had 6 picks just last season. So if you're telling me that that total could have been even higher, that's just wild. And now Mitchell's going to enter Eagles training camp with the chance to compete for a starting job on the outside, and even though it may be difficult since he is a rookie and the Birds have other really exciting players at that position, I think there is a real chance that if Mitchell plays well enough, he could possibly walk away with the starting job. And someone else who's going to be trying to compete for a starting job is the other guy who the article really praised in 2nd round pick Cooper DeJean, with Wasserman saying, quote, "DeJean will be a smooth yet athletic presence wherever Vic Fangio chooses to deploy him. He posted a 91.1 coverage grade at Iowa over the past 2 seasons, tied for 9th in the FBS. He allowed just a 45 passer rating into his coverage in that span, and his elite tackling ability gives him the potential to start in the slot for the Eagles, which is a desperate need. Philadelphia ranked last in the NFL by a wide margin in slot coverage grade, 31.9 last season. I think it's no secret that the slot was definitely a position in need for the Eagles last year, and like the article said, DeJean, based on the numbers, is very capable of stepping in and filling that need. However, despite the fact that DeJean will be trying to compete for the starting job during training camp, the Eagles still have Avonte Maddox, who took almost all the first team reps in the slot during spring practices, which is one reason why Alex Ballantyne of Bleacher Report listed DeJean in an article of Eagles who won't live up to the hype this season, saying, quote, "It would appear slot is his best bet to get on the field early, but the Eagles have competition everywhere in the secondary. Avonte Maddox has a ton of experience in the role, and CJ Gardner-Johnson is always an option for it too." And also noting that DeJean is eventually going to be a weapon in the secondary. He has great ball skills and can play a variety of alignments, but that progression might be slower than most would like from a high-profile draft pick. And honestly, I do think that this is a fair take that could honestly apply to Mitchell too. I mean, there's no guarantee that either one of them starts this year or has a big role in the defense, so we don't know how much either one will produce. But that being said, if either one does get out on the field consistently, I expect them to play well, but I definitely understand why DeJean was included on this list with all the offseason hype surrounding him, just because there is no guarantee he has a big role. That being said though, Avonte Maddox is pretty injury prone, so even if Maddox does earn the starting job and DeJean's on the bench, he could definitely see a big role if Maddox goes down with an injury. But continuing on with this list, Ballantyne also included Eagles' new wide receiver Parris Campbell, who's the heavy favorite to be the wide receiver 3 right now, with the article saying, quote, "On paper, Campbell fits the bill as a speedy slot option. In reality, Campbell has just one season where he stayed healthy all year and put up good production. Campbell played just 15 games in his first 3 seasons in the league. He put things together with 63 receptions for 623 yards and 3 touchdowns in a contract year with the Colts. He parlayed that success into a shot with the Giants, but only played in 12 games with 20 receptions for 104 yards. As Eagles fans know, the Giants did not have a great receiving core last season. The fact that Campbell couldn't emerge out of that group as a primary receiver is telling. And that's definitely a fair point. I mean, Campbell only had one good year in the league, and he didn't do anything with the Giants last year in what was a bad receiving core, so there's definitely no guarantee that he's going to do much in this Eagles offense. However, like the article said, he looks good on paper for the slot position, and he also has familiarity with head coach Nick Sirianni, plus he's looked good and been targeted a decent amount in spring practices based on the reports, so at least he's trending up right now. And the good thing is, even if he does disappoint, the wide receiver 3 position isn't going to be relied upon too heavily with all the other talent the Eagles have on offense, and also the Birds have some interesting options behind him in a few of the rookies, so let's hope Campbell does pan out, but if not, it's probably not the end of the world. But I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this one. What's your confidence level in Parris Campbell as this team's wide receiver 3? And now finally, the last guy included in this article was linebacker Devin White. And this is an interesting one because White is heading into the season as this team's top linebacker, so if he doesn't play well, the Eagles could be in a little bit of trouble here. Now, the article details how White's deficiencies started to show up last year, leading to him being benched, and it also talks about how one of his biggest strengths is blitzing, which isn't exactly Vic Fangio's favorite thing to do, so that could potentially hurt White and his game, and also how despite having a good coverage grade last year, his coverage grade was pretty horrible the year prior, so all those points are definitely fair, and I'll admit, when the Eagles signed White, I wasn't fully sold, but since then, White has emerged as a leader for the Eagles defense, he's proven himself to be hungrier than ever, and he's had some really good performances during Eagles practices in the spring, so my confidence level in him has definitely risen, but I understand the concerns, and White is definitely going to need to bounce back from what was a down season last year, or the Birds could have a very real problem at linebacker. But that being said, what do you guys think? You can give me your thoughts on White or anything else that I talked about in this video down in the comment section below. And also, quick update, I'm about to leave for vacation tonight, and I want to be on it for the next week, so just filling you guys in on if there's a little bit less videos next week, but after that, training camp starts, and I want to be completely locked in and covering everything, so make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss any of the training camp coverage I got coming on this channel, so again, subscribe and turn on those notifications, and also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support, and if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.